Hello everyone. This video would focus on cosine law or the law of cosines, and this is the second part. In this part, we're going to solve for the missing angle. Before we go over this example right here, let's have the definition of cosine law or the law of cosines. Please remember that cosine law, or otherwise called as the law of cosine, states that the square of a side of a plane triangle equals the sum of the squares of the remaining sides minus twice the product of those sides and the cosine of the angle between them. Looking at this triangle that we have right here, we have A, B, and C in big letters. They represent the angle, while the small letters A, B, and C represents the sides. Please remember that these letters A, B, and C here are variables. This means that in some pictures, it doesn't have to be A, B, and C. It can be any letter in the alphabet. But what we remember is the main concept of cosine law or the law of cosines, which states that if we get this square of this side right here, so I'm going to have a squared that is actually equal to the sum of the squares of the remaining sides. So we got the a squared, so we are going to add the square of the remaining sides. So that would be b squared plus c squared. The cosine law further states that we're supposed to minus twice the product of these sides. We're going to minus twice the product of these two. So that would be 2bc times cosine of the angle between them. So that's going to be cosine of the angle between these two is angle A, or pretty much that is the angle that is across the side A. So this is how we solve for A. Now we can also determine the formula for B squared. Looking at this, we always remember that we're supposed to equal this to the sum of the squares of the remaining sides. So the other remaining sides, if we are using this, the remaining sides are A and C. So we can go ahead and say that's A squared plus C squared. And that's a minus 2 of the product of these two. So that's going to be AC times cosine of the angle between them, which is B, or which is the angle opposite of the side. And so we can go ahead and say that C squared therefore is actually, that's gonna be A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine of angle C. This is what we actually call as the cosine law or the law of cosines. Please remember that these letters are variables, which means that in some triangles, it doesn't have to be A, B, and C. It can be any letter in the alphabet. Before we can solve this problem right here, or any problems involving cosine law or sine law, we have to make sure that our calculator is set up in degrees. If we are using the blue calculator, we can determine if it's in degree by clicking this DRG, and the degree is the one that is highlighted. Now, if you are using the yellow calculator, TI-84, you hit the mode, and the one that should be highlighted is in degrees. If the highlighted one is in radian, make sure that you shift that to degrees so that you don't get the wrong answer. Okay, going back to the example right here, we are supposed to solve for angle P. So this is the angle that we wanted to determine, so that we can go ahead and use the cosine law for this. Again, the cosine law states that the square of the side of a triangle that is across from the angle, so this 9 right here will be squared. So I'm going to write here, that's going to be 9 squared is equal to the sum of the squares of the remaining sides. So that's going to be 11 and 14. So I'm going to square both of them. So 14 squared plus 11 squared minus twice the product of these two sides. So that's going to be 2 times 11 times 14 multiplied by the cosine of the angle between them. So that would be cosine of P. So I'm just going to go ahead and write cosine of P. P here is missing, so I keep that as variable P. So what we do next is we simplify this. So 9 squared is 81 is equal to, that's gonna be 14 squared is 196, and then 11 squared is 121, minus, we multiply these three together, 2 times 11 times 14, that would be 308, and then we are left with cosine P. So we are going to combine these two terms right here. So this would come out 81 is equal to, adding these two will give us 317 minus 308 cosine of angle P. So that we can go ahead and subtract 317 from both sides. So minus 317 minus 317. And that would give us, that's gonna be, these two are gonna get crossed out. But by the way, please remember, because a lot of students miss this part, they are going to subtract 317 and 308. You cannot do that because this 317 doesn't have any cosine P with it. So this one is like, this one right here is like our X, because that's the missing one. So it's like 317 minus 308x. So then we cannot, these are not like terms, so we cannot subtract 317 minus 308. So we always remember this part because a lot of students miss this. So that if we do the math here, 81 minus 317 is negative 236, and that is equal to, this would come out, this would get crossed out, and this would come out negative 308 cosine of angle P. So that from here, we are going to divide both sides by negative 308. So divide this by negative 308. Divide this by negative 308. We can cross the 308 out. So then we are left with, that's gonna be cosine of P is equal to, that would be negative over a negative is a positive. So this is 236 over 308. Now we want the angle P. So what are we going to do with this? So what are we going to do is, I'm just going to show the work on the side right here. So what we do is that we are going to get the arc cosine. So this would come out, angle P is actually arc cosine of, that's going to be 236 over 308. And so if we use the calculator on this, this would give us 39.98 degrees. This is the measure of angle P. That's it. If you find this video helpful, hit like and subscribe for more math videos. See ya!